Hello again YouTube and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. This is day 2 of my road trip down into southern England and all the various jobs that I need to do. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go and watch that video now, otherwise come back to this. As you can see, Tesla price is a bit mucky, but what I have now got in the boot, and this is quite exciting, is new toy for the office, which is fab. Thanks to my friend Jim, who has sold it me at a keen price. What I have done overnight is charged up on their wall charger, so that is a 7 kilowatt. I don't know what brand it is, but it works, that's the main thing. So I've got plenty of power now to be able to get me on my way. Okay, let's have a look at where we're going first. So I am in Cubbit, which is in Lincolnshire. It's definitely not pronounced cowbit, and I do wonder which bit of the cow they were considering. And first of all, I am going to Soham, and that's going to take me... yeah, that all makes sense. So let's just talk a little bit about last night. And again, if you haven't seen the first part of that video, please do so. So on trips yesterday we did 477 miles. And we averaged 288 watt hours per mile. Now that's good, because what I wanted, if you've seen the video, and if you haven't, again, go and watch it, was to beat my current long-term average, which was 291 watt hours per mile. I did that. It was more efficient. So today, the challenge is to beat that again. So first of all, going from here to here, and then back up to here. So what I'm going to have to do is, there are not enough trip counters on this car. I've got trip B on my permanent all-time efficiency thing. I think that's important for this channel, so I'm not touching that. Trip A is going to do the entire trip, and again, this is a multi-part trip, so keep watching the videos. So what I'm going to do today, I'm still going to watch this number because I want that to drop below 288, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to add up all of these since last charge bits, because that is going to be everything we've done today since charging up here. So that wants to be lower than that, which wants to be lower than that. Do you get it? It's damper here this morning than it was yesterday night, so it had dried out pretty much completely on my way down. On the back end of the video that I shot yesterday, it's actually cooler. So it was 8 degrees when I arrived yesterday at something past 7 in the evening. It's now 6 degrees, and it has obviously rained fairly hard overnight. Again, rolling resistance, that never helps, but we'll see how we get on. I've read some things in the comments talking about autopilot and the distance following thing. So if you use the right hand wheel on the steering wheel and push it left and right, it increases and decreases, which I think is the number of car lengths versus the vehicle that you're following. But I'll be honest, I would quite like it to go longer. I'd like to sit further behind this van than I am, because I think actually I'm following a little close. Not because I can't stop in time if I have to, but just because of sight lines and things like that. I have actually charged the car to 95% overnight. They were offering me a full charge. I tend not to go to 100%. I did yesterday before setting off, knowing that I probably needed the energy. Today a little bit less, so I've gone to 95. It's 5% above what they say for their daily use thing, but it's trips. I'm on a trip, so that just gives me a little bit more power. What I am intending to do is to plug the car in when I get to the client site, because they have got a whole pile of 7 kilowatt chargers, so we'll give the car another charge there, and that will give me absolutely plenty to get to Sheffield, and then also to do some of the things I'm going to be doing in Sheffield, which, by the way, is yet more videos, so keep watching. No room at the end for charging. There's a whole load of people already charging, which is fine. I'm back on my way north, heading to Sheffield. I'm not going the way that the map is showing, because it was really trying to cut me back onto the A1 as quickly as possible and then go up the dual carriageway. As I said at the end of yesterday's video, I am going to take the country routes back instead. I'm going to avoid motorways and the fast dual carriageways as much as I can, so I'm actually going to take the route up from Ely through Wisbech, and then onto the A17 towards Newark, and then I'm going to cut across the A1 and head towards Sheffield that way. That should be good from an efficiency perspective. So because I didn't get to charge at the customer place, which is fine, I mean I've still got 72% battery, I have still got the since charge measure as being the best way of checking how I am doing, and on the 61 miles since then, the car is braking itself, by the way. I'm not doing anything. I mean, it's just going and then it goes again. 62 miles, and we have burned 250 watt hours per mile, which is 4 miles per kilowatt hour. That is really good, and that is definitely better than both my total on this trip so far, which is 284 across 539 miles, and definitely better than my 291 watt hours per mile long-term lifetime average. The sign said bumpy road for 2 miles. You're not kidding. This is absolutely crazy. It's rolling off the edges. We're going up and down over humps. This is awful. I mean, look at this. It's like, is there any particular reason for it to be swaying backwards and forwards and then bouncing up and down like this? I'm also watching the van up ahead, who appears to be bottoming out on his suspension almost a couple of times. This is fantastic. So this is the road basically from Ely to Wisbech on my let's go the back routes way to Sheffield. Oh, hang on, slowing down. When you've got marks on the tarmac like that, that's where somebody has literally bottomed out and started to gouge their sump guard onto the road. I'm not surprised the van's going down the middle though, because it is rolling off. I think they call it crown camber, or they used to do anyway, where like the road would like roll away to the edges. But I mean, this is quite silly. Fun, but silly. This route is taking me through some interesting little villages. Also lots of completely flat land with nothing really on it. But then you get something like this where there's a river down here, and you've got obviously big clusters of buildings here and there. Just kind of built in the middle of the fen, I guess. Yeah, it's quite nice. I do like the river running down the middle of it. And then you get these little pretty village churches, or like here where people park up their cars on the road and you have to stop, and at least this way it's only cars that I'm waiting for and not massive great big trucks, as it was just a minute ago before I switched the camera on. I wonder what it's like living here. Blimey, a bend. This road is straight. This road is very straight. And a bit tight getting past the truck, as I found out as I started to ease my way past him. That was a bit unfortunate, but yeah, it did say another undulating road, and I kind of get it, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit to 55, just because it is bouncing a little bit. But this is almost freaky. This is proper Anglia, just build in a straight line and keep going. Fascinating. I mean, there's nothing like this in my part of Scotland. Nothing. Or where I grew up in Lancashire, or for the 15 years or so that I've lived in Teesside. Nothing at all like this. Just, you know, several miles of basic straight. And we're going to do a wiggle here, and then we're going to carry on with a straight. Because you can see the road, like the telegraph poles, that is the literal straight line. They have deviated the road across by the look of it, because I can still see the hedgerow over there, just to put a staggered crossroads in. Otherwise, it really would have just ploughed straight on. It probably makes sense from a traffic safety perspective. I mean, otherwise you can only imagine what it would be like with people just going absolutely flying along it. And now we're onto this, and it's another completely straight road. Fantastic. There is something fabulously relaxing about wafting the car along on autopilot on a road like this. So yes, there's a few bends. I've done some of the testing on autopilot where It doesn't like extreme bends, but these are relatively gentle and we're taking them at a sane speed. Obviously I've got traffic ahead of me regulating our speed, and it just makes it really relaxing. You know, you just sit here. So we're dropping in for a 60 to a 40, so it changes my maximum speed to 40, and what I'm then assuming when we get out the other end is it will then increase it again back up to where I had it set, which was 50, or it would increase back to whatever else it was. If you're on autopilot, and it's doing all the braking here, I'm doing nothing. But if you're on autopilot, it's now accelerating itself. I'm doing nothing. But if you are on autopilot, it will adjust the speed that it can go at accordingly, dependent on whatever it sees on the signs. So we've just gone past that now. It has changed the maximum speed to 60 and my preset cruising speed of 50. And the only reason I've set it to that is to basically keep me gapped from the guy in front who is trundling along at best. And that's absolutely fine because there's a whole load of traffic in front of him as well. This is wafting along the back roads kind of driving. It is completely different to going up and down the motorways or fast dual carriageways, and that's what today's trip is about. I've been to my friend's house, I've done the customer meeting, I'm heading to the city for more things tomorrow, and I've got a bit of time, so let's take the slow road and enjoy it. We're in the town of Bourne in Lincolnshire, and as we've been enjoying autopilot in the country, let's have another go at autopilot in town and see what this is like. I am going to do a video about autopilot in the city because I think it's going to be quite good there. That video is coming up. But meanwhile, I'm in this town. The car has slowed itself to a stop with the queue of traffic ahead. I had to do nothing, and it will now restart itself. Again, I'm not doing anything. My feet aren't on the pedals. I'm just letting the car do its thing. This is the fun thing about autonomous driving, when it does kind of do this magic. And it is good. Now, we've got the lanes splitting up here. How will it cope? And there's a bike lane there. Good. It's putting me into the middle of the lane and it's bringing me to a halt nicely for these traffic lights. This is good. And then we're going to resume again. Now they're on green. And off we go. I am covering the brake pedal, by the way, just in case anyone's wondering. And my hands are here with the steering wheel, so I'm ready to take over. But this is science, sort of. This is Tesla science. It's the best kind of science. So we're threading our way through here. This guy is sticking his nose out a little bit, so I'm going to deviate across. It's now shouting at me because I'm going across the line, which I am, but that's because there's people parked. As soon as I can, I'm going to get back onto autopilot. It doesn't cope with half on the pavement obstructions like that. It really doesn't. Now, obviously, there's lots of kids here, so I'm being very, 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 very careful. Again, hand on the steering wheel, foot on the brake, ready to intervene. But other than that, I'm letting the car drive. And don't forget, the car has got more cameras than I have eyeballs, so it will be able to see stuff that I cannot do, and it is taking us very gently down here. And again, I think that is a good thing. Wow, lots of kids. School, sorry, I'm just taking over now. School has obviously just finished and tipped them all out because this is absolute chaos down here. This is fine. Okay. So as soon as we got past this guy who's parked, we're going to re-engage. So it said advisory 20 miles an hour limit for the school, which is why we are just going to trundle our way down here. Again, it does make it safer when you've got the kids. I wonder when it will figure out that we're not really in a 20 limit anymore. Even that was only advisory, but hey. Okay, it was trying to turn really hard into the curb there ahead of the turn that was coming up. I think it had seen that it was quite sharp and thought, I need to turn. Let's try this one. So again, this is sharp and it's turning. It's not turning enough, so we'll give it a bit more of a pull. Can we clear the keep clear? Yes, we can, just about. Okie dokie. pull ourselves to here. They took ages to change. Absolute ages. Thought I'd try. I got a steering wheel symbol just for a second. Yeah. So it appears, and then as soon as I try and engage it, it disappears. Ooh, no, it's actually on now. Now, there's parked cars up ahead. Let's see how it copes with them. Now, it's, you see, it's because they're marked. It's because it's marked as a parking bay that you can get around it, but it's quite a tight lane, and it's going to take me too close to them, which is why I overrode it. But at least it did. At least it did recognise that there was something there that I needed to pull out of, which sometimes in the past when I've been testing this, it hasn't done. So that was a good effort. We'll give it that as an effort. The point where the computer can do mini roundabouts will be amazing, but I suspect that might be quite a way off into the future. Now back on the A17 heading towards Newark. Probably worth having a look at efficiency, I suppose, because it's absolutely mega. So looking at, first of all, the estimated consumption versus what we've actually used. Yes, there's a lot of amber on there, which means that it's below, and then there's specks of green where it's on target. But even where it's amber, we've only used a touch more. You know, we said we've used 4.2% more energy than expected on driving, but we've actually saved on climate, because I actually had it off and the window open for a little bit, and on a few other things. So what it means is, on looking at, again, the 5 mile, 15 mile, 30 mile averages, so 244 watt hours per mile on the 5 mile, 247 on the 15, 250 on the 30 mile. So 4 miles per kilowatt hour, maybe 4.1 depending on the measure. Either way, this is a really efficient drive. And, you know, I said it's the slow road, and it is, because we're not bombing it up the A1 dual carriageway. But where I can do 60, I'm doing 60. I'm not lingering. There has been bursts where there have been chunks of traffic where we've slowed down. Like now, we're probably going to end up doing, I don't know, 50 or something. It is what it is. Fundamentally, though, this is a relaxing way to drive. It feels less involved than going up a busy A1, especially if it is busy. So just to show you all of that again. Oop, since last charge, so that is since we set off from my friend's house this morning, 141 miles and 248 watt hours per mile. The total trip since we left home yesterday, 618 miles with an average of 279, which is better than my lifetime of 291. So I am now definitely underneath, and therefore I will be reducing that 291 figure. On our way down into the centre of Sheffield, and I'm following the road that's the tram line. Well, why not? It's not often I get to drive my electric Tesla under electric wires. I think it's kind of fitting, really. It's all electric, and this guy in front of me says Stig. No. Although you are driving an Audi, and that does say something about you. Sorry if there are nice Audi drivers out there, but there's also a lot of, how can I put this, arsehole Audi drivers out there. So anyway, trams have gone, and this is one of Sheffield's hills where you just dive and dive and dive and dive. I love Sheffield. I went to university here quite a while back. Far too far back, actually, but never mind. One advantage of going this way is, well, first of all, I'm heading into the city rather than out of it, and it is 5:45 in the evening, but also this really is one of the side routes in. This road actually is largely straight for mile after mile after mile, which is kind of in fitting with other parts of this day's run. So it is quite interesting, basically just letting the car keep going in a straight line because you can do. They've actually started building on this building site. Blimey, that was empty for a long time. I need to turn here, don't I? Yes, I did. My car park is still here though, which is good. So that's the end of that trip. So I'm staying across the road and they want 15 quid a night to park, and I don't need to be in there all day tomorrow. I only need a couple of hours on this and a little bit in the morning, so it's way cheaper to park out here. And I've still got 28% left in the battery, which is fab, because this has been genuinely absurd. Look at the trip count for this. So since the last charge, 242 watt hours per mile. That is fantastic. That's what, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, something crazy like that. So that's now dropped to 290 from 291. My overall trip across the whole 674 miles is 275. So this is good. This is pretty damned efficient. So that's kind of it for this episode. Well, this is video number 2 of what's going to be 3 or maybe even 4 of my big long road trip down to Anglia and back. So don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, you know when the next video is coming then, and I'll see you very soon here on Just Get a Tesla.